Supposedly it's fixed now. Let's see.
Oh my God, we'd have been like, we'd had one more song left, I think. If we'd have done this properly. I think we should be good to go now this time, guys, though. Honestly, I really do.
We apologize for our, whatever you want to call it. Fucked up audio issues.
I don't understand. Mine sounds like AM, FM. Yours sounds like complete natural voice. I don't know what the fuck. But I'm not going to play around with that. Take 3. Hey, at least you guys know we're committed to y'all. If
I'm going to lock up that other video.
Huh?
I'm locking up the other video and moving the thumbnail.
Just delete those videos, bro.
Yeah, I will, but not right now. All right, take 3.
Yeah, video unavailable. That's it. 40 views. Yeah, lock all that shit up. And
I just did.
Get rid of it. Unbelievable. Vin and Sori live, ladies and gents. Complete disaster.
Well, maybe we've got it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Your voice sounds completely natural and pure. Mine's terrible as usual. But
I need my back pillow.
all right. 3rd time's a charm if you're superstitious. Here we go, guys. Mastodon and a bunch of other bands. Right now, though, we're doing Epica-The Quantum Enigma as soon as Soraya gets her headphones on.
I really don't know if there's a reason to put them on.
And
is any sound going to happen?
Let's go. Hopefully. Let's see.
Oh, hey!
Throat singing thing happening.
I bet this would be really cool live.
voice. The soul is invisible in time and space.
Wow.
Dude, that is so badass. I'm looking at our banner on our page. That is such an amazing banner. Holy
Amy
shit.
Lee Forever made it.
Give me a screenshot of that. I want to show people that. That's so amazing. Amy Lee is such a fucking gangster, I swear to God. Alrighty there, listener. That was Epica. That was song number 1 in our DJ stream. There is a lot of ground to cover here, and some of you guys don't know this.
That was beautiful.
Rented Reality, or DJ AT, is my actual IRL friend. Like, he's my actual friend in real life. Like, we talk on the phone. As a matter of fact, 2 minutes before I jumped on this particular show, I called him up directly. I said, bro. Mm-hmm. He's like, do your thing, man. That's my guy.
Here it comes.
But he's a massively philosophical dude. Like, he's another one of those people.
Oh, absolutely.
You gotta kind of have like a PhD to like maintain a conversation with him.
Yeah, but he's not just like, only like super lofty. Like, he's super practical. Like, and I think that's what's really cool about him. Like, I'm like, okay, if Vin and Perk have a conversation, would I be lost, or would I be able to just engage with them? But AT is cool because he talks like real deep, and I like the stuff that you guys talk about, but he also like enjoys hiking and getting out in nature, and like, so there's like a real like there's a real practical side. I believe he's single as well, ladies. I don't know.
About to say, you sound a little bit too happy talking about that shit. Why do you care if he's single? What the fuck is your problem?
Well, I'm making an announcement for him. A public announcement.
AT, you can never come over again, bitch. This shit is making me uncomfortable.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Also, shout out to Davey.
Yes, shout out to big homie Davey. Gang, gang, gang.
Davey in the sky.
Gang, gang, gang.
This one was a cool one. This one was like
Nihil certum. I'm assuming that means nothing is certain, right? Because nihil or nihilism means nothing, and certum sounds like certain.
Yeah, it does actually. Did you put up the picture?
We observe it probably sounds like what we observe with our eyes. Parse est the quantum enigma. I'm just gonna go ahead and guess that what they're saying is nothing is certain. What we see with our eyes is the quantum enigma. That's the best translation I can give you guys. The other thing you guys can do is simply go to google.com and put that information in there. It's Latin. So there you go. Okay. What did you think the song was about?
Well, I mean, it seemed like it was, pretty clear.
It was clear. All right.
Well, I thought so.
Let me hear... Miss,
just it kind of just sounded like an overall like part of like one thing was like the search for like longevity of life or something like that. I don't know if it said longevity of life, but like the meaning of life and stuff like that. Like It just seemed like it was about discovery in lots of different ways, and it got me thinking how it almost seems like we were made for pursuit. And you will pursue something regardless of if it's positive or negative. And so I thought, maybe the pursuit for life and, like that sort of observing the universe. And it talked about like it expanding as we look into it. And like maybe as we expand ourselves by observing the world around us and all the things that we can learn from it, that's one way. Or the other way is when you can get it's very interesting because you said, well, no, I guess it was the opposite. But so anyway, like then the other is there almost can be like this deep pursuit into death and the effects of death and how, what would it look like if you die and what if it was this way and how would it affect these people? And so it seems like there's one of two directions that we can take, but our hearts will take a pursuit. And obviously the pursuit of death, I believe eventually could lead you to an untimely death because it's all consuming and it's a very heavy and sort of dark feeling. But the pursuit is endless into all the world around us and the different areas that you can go. You can you can be deep in the ocean, you can be out into outer space, you can be into the earth, you can be into animals, you can be into plants, you can be into music. There's just all these different avenues that we can pursue, and there's so much to learn and explore and experience. And like through this channel, because of the live streams that we do, obviously we get introduced to so many new bands. And when we first started this channel and we started opening it up to do, like if you subscribed, you could get a song reaction.
That's literally,
those were the days.
That was the first deal back in the day. It's like, if you subscribe and then you get,
if you joined our cult,
you get 2 of your friends to subscribe.
I don't even think it was 2.
Yeah, you get 2 of our friends, 2 of your friends. Look at that. Look at that Vin and Sori live channel thingy that she made. That is incredible.
Yeah, and she did it perfectly, so the banner fits.
She is.
I never even thought to do what you did, but
I've never seen anything like that. That's
it looks really cool. Yeah,
that is so good. Good job. Holy shit. All right, go ahead. I'm blown away, Amy. Honestly, because she showed me but like seeing it on the
you know what happened, Amy, is I never go into Facebook. I only talk on Patreon. And actually, you know what? You might want to do that. If you subscribe to Patreon and then delete your patronage but still follow, you won't be charged anything, but you can still be on there with me. And then you can that's where I get all the messages. So anyway, you told me to send you those pictures. So I sent you the pictures, and when I was there, I realized that the thing was there, which was crazy because I'm like, yo, tell Amy she has to send me the thing so I can add it. I didn't know you already had. So I went in there and added it since we had it. So I'm talking about the pursuit like that. Like, so you there's different whatever. And so that to me was kind of like this. It sounds to me like they decided to pursue all the life that life has to offer. And the way that even in the way that they delivered their music was very...
Epica, the band.
Yeah, Epica themselves.
So
yeah,
we got a little meta for you.
Yeah.
I think it's talking about the human beings in our quest toward ascertaining the meaning of life, because it's right in there. They literally talked about finding. That's the part I was trying to say.
Yeah. Then I couldn't remember exactly how they said. Right there. Yeah. Is our source to find again the meaning of life. All that we desire,
Yeah, we'll ignite the fire that burns under the rain. All that we desire is to find our source again, the meaning of life. Which, obviously, from our vantage point, it is impossible to ascertain the meaning of life without God. Mm-hmm. I'll go this far. It is impossible to even ascertain meaning, period, without God. Because meaning requires some sort of intention. That's what you're saying. When you're saying, what do you mean by that? What you're saying is, what is your intention in using those words?
Yeah.
If you say, I didn't mean to hurt you, you're saying it wasn't my intention. So the very concept of meaning, when you say, I lived a meaningful life, people saying that, like, what does that mean? What you're saying is ultimately that you were here for a specific intention or purpose, and that you lived a life full of intention and purpose. But the meaning cannot come from you. Mm-hmm. Like, this is one of the major issues that people have to understand. You cannot create your own meaning and have it be significant in any objective way. In other words, a hammer can't say, I'm a car. Mm-hmm. You can only derive meaning from an external source. That's the only way you can derive meaning. So, characters in a story can't create their own meaning. The characters in a story derive meaning from the author.
True.
So for me, it's a fool's errand, and they didn't say anything about God either way in this particular song. But to me, it's going to be a lifelong fool's errand to ascertain any sort of objective or real meaning without God. You're always going to run up into this ceiling. And some of the things that was so interesting in this particular song to me were all the shadows and illusions we tend to believe are created of our own deceiving mind. If we can't let go and keep chasing satisfying needs, we will not get how to forget our sapience, which is really interesting. We will not get how to forget our sapience. So, we're Homo sapiens.
Yeah.
And sapien means wise, I think.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's one of the things that separates us from the animal kingdom, especially in a secular context, is that we're apes, but we're wise apes. Like we have mental cognitive understandings that other apes don't, and so that's one of the things that separates us. Hence, we're our sapience, right? And it's it's the thing about us that separates us from the animal kingdom is our sapience from a secular perspective. Obviously, from our perspective, sapience is an aspect of the thing that separates us from the animal kingdom, namely being in the image of God.
Yes.
So our sapience flows from the imago Dei, whereas if you don't have the image of God as your grounding presupposition, you're just going to say, by some accident of evolution, we became the only sapient mammals on the planet, etc., etc. But again, that's great. But if the base principle of the universe is purposeless,
meaningless indifference,
right, or blind, pitiless indifference, that was a Dawkins quote. But if the base principle in the universe is randomness, chaos, then there's literally no way for you to ground any sort of objective meaning. All meaning that you would create from that has to be a fiction. It's literally, and I mean fiction in the most literal way possible, meaning it is a story that you tell yourself that you invented out of whole cloth. People say, well, we can assign meaning to ourselves. You can, and it'll be a complete fiction. It's not the same as saying, well, your story in Christianity is a fiction. No, my story is a truth claim. It could be true or false. If it is true that there is a God and he really came down here in the person and work of Jesus Christ, died on the cross, rose from the dead, ascended to heaven on the third day, going to come back, judge the living and the dead. If that is true, then it's true. If it's not, then it's false. Right? That's not the same as a fiction. A fiction is a complete story that you just completely made up. So if you want to assign meaning for yourself in a universe that began with nothing but chaos, disorder, with no purpose, meaning, or intention behind it, and then you come up later on and create meaning for yourself, great, because I don't want you to jump off a bridge. But that meaning you're assigning to yourself is a complete fiction, and everybody has to play along with it. It's just, look, it's not a criticism. It's just, that's just a fact, right? And so I don't agree with Islam, but I don't believe that Islam's presupposition are fictitious. I just think they're factually incorrect. There's a difference between fiction and a claim being proven incorrect.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, we literally pour meaning into everything. And the most unwell, this is maybe a little bit risky to say, the most unwell amongst us are the people that have no meaning in anything. Like, if you pull the group of people that has everything is meaningless, they're the most unhappy and unwell. But the more people, like, when you see people who have purpose and they have meaning and they, like, it, and I'm not even saying that they pour purpose into their life like we do. They don't even have to be Christians. But when people have a purpose, they do a lot better than people who have no purpose at all.
Right, which is what they're trying to do. They're saying we've got this ever-increasing quest to get to meaning. And that's so true, and I'm very fascinated about how self-aware they are. And I think if you look right here, all your laws and assumptions, leave them all behind. There's no grounds for them right here when time can't go. If we can't keep moving on. See, that's one of the things that's really fascinating to me about all the scientists that I'm looking at right now. Because I was listening to one of these guys, one of these, 5 PhD people. There's a new guy in the Lex Friedman podcast. You guys, if you're not subscribed to Lex Friedman, something's wrong with you guys. He's amazing, brilliant, might be an android himself. I mean, this guy he's got access to everybody. He's talked to Elon, talked to so many people.
Oh wow.
The latest episode he's got right now it's either Lex Friedman, it's also there's another guy by the name of his website is his YouTube channel is Theories of Everything with Kurt Jaimunkel. And he's got this guy right now who is talking about, unidentified aerial phenomena, etc., etc. And so there's this deep conversation, and he starts going, eventually we're going to have to get to the point where there's another discipline that somehow harmonizes theology, art, and science. Well, he said theology, art, science, and philosophy. Some discipline that gets them all together, because anybody who knows anything about science knows that the grounds of science is actually philosophy. So, for example, the vast majority of scientists right now are physicalists or materialists. They start with that presupposition, and it's from that presupposition that they then interpret the data. That's just a fact. So you start with philosophy, then you build your science as an outgrowth from philosophy. People just think, oh, scientists are just observing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they're observing, but as everybody knows, you observe A, I observe A, I interpret A this way, you interpret it another way. What determines the framework by which we go to interpret things are our presuppositions. So if I presuppose materialism, for example, that matter is all there is in the universe. If I presuppose that, then you're going to have something called the hard problem of consciousness. Because how do you boot up consciousness from dead matter? We know it's logically impossible, but because these people start from a materialist presupposition, they're stuck just saying, oh, it's a hard problem and we'll figure out eventually. And they keep kicking the ball down to the next generation, making those people responsible. And nobody looks around and says, well, maybe there's no solution to the hard problem of consciousness because materialism isn't true. Maybe materialism as a presupposition is not true.
Thanks, Dwayne.
That's the real issue. So I love that line, all your laws and your assumptions. Yeah, like, dude, the materialism stuff is not going to survive this century. This century is going to close with the death of materialism. It's already dead if you listen to a bunch of, I'm not going to go as far as Hoffman and say space-time is dead, although Hoffman was quoting another physicist that was saying space-time is dead. But the ramifications of saying that space-time is dead and that materialism is a false presupposition is very simple. Is to say, well, maybe we need to come up with something else that's fundamental. And of course, Hoffman says consciousness is fundamental, which explains why. And they talked about this. It's a famous experiment where, the thing only exists once it's observed. Right? And
very weird.
A lot of quantum physicists who've had experiments where it's basically, if you observe something, then it exists. Once you don't observe it, it comes out of it, it goes out of existence, etc., etc. And so that puts us in a quandary because new perceptions keep us expired. And that's
inspired.
That's the quantum enigma, because it's like, did that thing exist before you observed it? And it's like the first time I saw Don Hoffman in a discussion at all was he was saying that the moon isn't there unless we're looking. I was like, this guy is ridiculous. And it turns out there's a whole host of physicists and disciplines that do not believe that any of the shit that we see in the world actually truly exists independent of our observation and our own experience of them, which means that at some level we are creating reality. So that is something very fascinating. To AT's point, observance is conditional. The base self knows, but focused attention doesn't see. So, like, if you really think about that, like, that would mean that if we opened our mind to perceive new things, then essentially we could create new realities.
That's what AT just literally said.
Right? So oh, look, AT just said it. We're creating reality. And one of the fascinating things to me about this is that used to be looked upon as Eastern mystical garbage, New Age garbage, and aspects of Christianity.
Yeah.
Where people would talk about manifesting things or faith or things like that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the bridge between religion and science is really closing, because what is the difference between saying faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It says you have to believe in something before you see it.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and saying we are observing reality and creating reality via observation? There's no real material difference. What's the difference between saying I met an angel when I drank the sacred drink from the heavens versus saying I took DMT, I was in an altered state of consciousness, and I met some being anywhere that told me about my life, and then when I came back down to earth from the high, I followed what that entity instructed me to do, and my life is now exponentially better. What's the difference? There's no difference. The only difference is the nomenclature. So I thought the song was fascinating because I keep saying this over and over again. I've had, see, this is another question. Sadie says, are we recreating reality or narrative? And at this point in my life, I'm going to say that there's no difference between reality and narrative.
Yeah, I don't think there is either.
Because, especially, Sadie and I, like, we exist in the same world. We're looking at the same information. But my reality, and when I talk about reality, I'm talking about things that affect me in the real world and emotions and things like that. And Sadie's reality are completely different on certain topics.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't understand how she can't see this. And I'm sure there are other times she's like, I don't understand what the hell's going on. Like, this is, so part of reality is what we expect to see based on the story that we're in.
Yeah.
So my entire life I've been told that the moon is really a thing. Right? And good night moon and all this shit in the Bible and every moon. So I live in a narrative where when I look up in the sky there is a moon. That's the reality I live in. And let's say that Hoffman and the rest of these guys are right and that the moon truly doesn't actually exist, objectively speaking, outside of my perception. How the hell would I know that? Because I'm so entrenched in this narrative that then preconditions me to see a moon, etc. And so I continue to go on and promote the fiction and pass it down and all the rest of it, which is why Hoffman says that's why we all are seeing the same thing, is because all of us are telling each other the same basic story, the same basic fiction.
That's so wild.
Which then begs the question, if we reoriented...
Yeah.
If we reoriented our expectations on what we would see, what would we see? Which then explains why you have missionaries who say they run into people who see angels on the regular. who see all these different entities on the regular.
Yeah.
Why? Because they live in a different story that preconditions them to see a certain thing. It's the same thing. It also explains the UFO phenomena. You know, this is a little bit nuanced, but I've asked the question, how come in the 50s the UFOs basically looked like little
flying
spinning
saucers,
plates, like
yeah.
literal flying saucers that seemed like futuristic for the 50s, but then when we look at them now, they're very sleek and they all look like stealth bombers. One way to look at it is to say that's because these are government, crafts or whatever that they're experimenting in. But that doesn't work when you think about the Tic Tac UFO and all the rest of it, because they're defying the laws of physics. I mean, these things are doing 90-degree turns at Mach 28. Ridiculous, like shit that all the laws of physics. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, Neil deGrasse Tyson, all the rest of these guys are like, even if they see it, they won't believe it, because all they know is these are the laws of physics, and everything's beholden to the law. And these craft are completely violating the laws of physics, but our perception of them matches the time period that we're in. And so it's like, what do we actually know what we're seeing? You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And it's creating an entire new narrative sort of wrinkle.
Yeah.
Now our minds are conditioned. Okay, we see these crafts or whatever. That's a spaceship, and it's like, how do we know that that's what we're actually seeing? Go ahead.
I mean, it fits with, like what you hear a lot. Well, I mean, I went to Bible college and heard all kinds of missionary stories and talked to missionaries and stuff. And there were certain areas where wild and bizarre things were being seen by the people that we don't see here. And it was like, well, why over there are they seeing this? And but yeah, it could be, you know, something like that where we're not preconditioned that we're gonna see something, and we don't necessarily believe that something exists. So then it doesn't happen over here. Like if something exists and it is happening, why would your belief or non-belief in it actually change anything? But yet it is very weird.
And Andre says the moon still affects Earth regardless of believing it or not. That's untrue. Something is affecting the Earth, but how do we definitively know that it's the moon that's affecting the Earth?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if the Earth doesn't exist the way we see it unless it's observed, how do we know what we're observing about gravitational pulls in the lunar cycle are actually there objectively outside of our experience? It's impossible. That's a serious problem. Like I said, Andre, go check out. Go check out.
You're deconstructing everything around me.
Huh?
You're deconstructing everything around me.
Well, yeah, but that response right there indicates the conundrum that we're all in, because like my first thing with Hoffman was like, that doesn't make sense, because one time I got hit by a car. I had no idea the car was there.
Yeah, I thought the same thing like that too. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like I had no idea the car was there. So it wasn't that my consciousness was perceiving it. And of course the response to that is, yeah, but the guy that was driving the car observed the car and me. See what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
So it's really a fascinating topic, and I agree. We're gonna see the thing. Before I started this channel, I thought to myself, in order for Christianity, and I have no doubt that it will, but in order for Christianity in America to get to the next generation, it's got to get an update. It's got to get a system update as far as how we interface with reality and biblical interpretation. But the more and more I look at it, man, secularists got to update, because there's no room in secularism for what happens on DMT trips. There's no room in secularism for what's happening with these TikTok things and all the rest of it. There's no room in secularism for NDEs. I mean, and we're talking about hundreds of them. And of course, that experience where that woman literally had voices in her head telling her that she had a tumor. This was peer reviewed and everything. This woman had multiple voices in her head saying, you have a tumor. She went and got it checked out. Nothing.
Oh, wait, what?
Oh, yeah. She had voices in her head saying, you have a tumor. You need to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
She went to the hospital.
Nothing.
They said, oh, there's nothing. There's nothing here. Because
wait.
they wouldn't do the CAT scan unless they had a serious. So she was, on her fourth visit, she was under so much duress that they finally said, fine. Sure enough, they did the scan. She had this malignant brain tumor.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
She almost died. What? They did the surgery. And then she heard, we were very happy to help you. Thank you. Have a great day. And she never heard the voices again. And then she went off and lived her life. I was like, that is bullshit. No way. I checked. Sure enough, it was peer reviewed. There is no way. There is no way. Look, you don't need God to explain that.
Right.
All I'm saying is, right now, you have no explanation from a completely materialist, secularist worldview. None. Hoffman can explain that easily. Metaphysical idealists can explain it easily. Conscious agents theorists can explain that easily. We as Christians can explain that easily. But current modern secularism needs a reboot and an update.
100%.
Because it cannot account for any of these phenomena that are peer reviewed. I mean, shit, we got CIA using psychics, all the rest of it. I mean, the world is so much bigger and more mysterious than both camps want to admit.
100%.
So I love the song. Lyrically, I loved what they were doing, where they were going. I completely agreed with it. It's very, 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 very fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just sounded awesome too. It's a 9.6 for me.
Would you give it?
9.6.
Was it we'll never find if we don't seek, or something? We'll never see if we don't peek. I think that line was pretty corny. We'll never see if we don't peek. What the fuck?
Actually, I like that.
I thought that was a corny line.
I like that.
I thought that was a corny line. But the subject matter I thought was massively ambitious, so I'm going to give it an 8.9. 8.9. Really good song. Shout out to BC. There's no proof of God. BC, do me a favor and tell me what constitutes proof for you. All right, dear listener, we're coming right back with more metal goodness. There you go. Big philosophical conversation. Vin out.
Sori out.
Go. All right, bitches. We shall return. Turn. Can you give me some orange juice as well? I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish. Rubbish.
That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch. All right.
Okay, we are in the midst of a
Rented reality.
Rented reality.
Check out his Instagram. Next
Yes,
up on the
sir,
list
Robert.
is Rivers of Nihil, or Nihil.
Nihil. My band.
Circles in the Sky.
Are you serious?
What?
That's the one I didn't download. Circles in the Sky. Talk to the people.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Some of us had to work all day. I think what happened was our computer did an auto update and it reset all the settings.
Oh, that's so friggin' annoying.
And I think that's what happened.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna
all the audio
need-
settings got reset.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a timestamp. Honey, it's up on Trello too. He's right there though. Yep, so that's yeah, that's true. At least you guys can hear us right now, so
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Yeah, you can be happy about that. You know, grateful
my
for it.
word. All right. Sometimes because I jump into the comment section, you guys have been going back and forth, and so I have zero context, and then I'm like, this makes no friggin' sense.
What's going on?
Anything, like, just Sadie says breakthrough, you know, like, I don't know what she's talking about.
She said DMT was crap, she said.
Oh, Alan, DMT is crap. Why is it crap? Can you explain why that is? I mean, for me, at this point in my life, I would not be interested. I mean, obviously I'm pregnant. I couldn't anyway, but I'm not interested in taking a trip like that. I think maybe eventually I would be kind of curious and interested in something like that, but certainly not now. You know what part of the reason is? Because I grew up in the Dare era, and I like completely took that hook, line, and sinker. So everything was like so bad to me that I think that there's still like a part of me that's like afraid of everything because it's really bad. Like you'll die, you know, like your entire life will be ruined. You'll shipwreck your family. You know, you'll steal from the people you love.
Be so smart. That baby be so smart.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, guys. Here we go. The name of the band is Rivers of Nihil, and the name of the song, I'm very excited, is Circles in the Sky. Let's do it. Unbelievable band already. So beautiful. Bass coming in thick. freaking song, y'all.
I really enjoyed that.
Jesus.
You know, that song, don't ask me about the lyrics because I wasn't watching them at all. That song, like the way that it went musically, for me, it was making me think about certain things that I choose to usually not think about. But the way that the music was very supportive, it felt like this is a safe place to think about this.
That's a really interesting way to put it, that the music was supportive.
Yeah, and so I thought through a couple things that I've been avoiding thinking through. So that was kind of like an interesting experience because it also felt like, like supportive. I don't know how else to say that. So I felt like it was a safe place to do some thinking, which was disappointing because it takes me a lot longer to think through something than just however long that was, 3 minutes it felt like. So I would definitely need an album probably of this one. But yeah, really good. I liked the feel of it, and it was really pretty sounding, and I liked what they did, instrumentally, the different places that they went with it. But I'm not really good at like picking apart what each instrument did, but there was some like higher notes. I'm not sure what they were. Maybe it was the guitar. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But I liked those higher notes that it was hitting up in there a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely a journey.
Yeah, I felt that's such a good. There's a guy. This has nothing to do with anything, but there's a guy who.
Then let's not talk about it. Anyway,
on the Middle America thing, he characterized Putin's invasion as irresponsible, and I had just never heard that.
He said what?
He characterized it as irresponsible.
Oh.
He
Yeah.
basically said no matter what his
Yeah.
justifications were, it was irresponsible. And I'm like,
Yeah.
brilliant way to put it. Like when you said the music was supporting the sounds were supporting the lyrics, I'm like, yeah, dude, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. And it really, really did. It really did support the lyrics. But like this lyric right here, this little segment right here where it says pray to be unmade and absorbed into the light, everybody be as one. Everybody be as one, suffering only in the mind, coalesce into the none. Like it just, and I know, I don't know the guy, but it's not, I don't think that he was meant to say it like this, but that to me is a rock show. Like that's what people are looking for when they go into a rock show. Is coalescing into one, suffering only in the mind again, which is kind of goes into the previous song that we just got done covering actually, which of course is AT, so obviously he's gonna, that's gonna happen. But like that was the line for me, because it's like I feel like this is one of the biggest things that Christian, and it's not a criticism per se, it's just being an insider in both communities. The reason I'm saying this, that Christians don't see that's what folks are going for when they go to a rock show. They're trying to get to a place where their suffering is only in their mind, where you can notice it says everybody be as one.
Yeah.
And they're trying to go to a place where the songs carry with it a certain kind of pain and lived experience that everybody who's singing them knows. And so we're all together as one, and in that hour and a half, however long we're all there, the suffering was only mental, because we're all enjoying each other and we're enjoying each other's company and all the rest. And like, and like, when people go to worship services, like when Christians say, "Oh, I want worship," like that's what's happening.
It is, but okay. So the sad thing about what you just said was, so obviously I haven't grown up a metal person. I haven't been a metal person at all. Like that's just something that once we started the channel, then all of a sudden I went to my first concert and stuff like that. But I never felt rejected by the metal community, and I'm not sure necessarily that we fit as far as, like you were basically the only black jelly bean at a lot of these places, and I don't think that I necessarily look like the community looks, so neither one of us really necessarily fit. But I never felt like, there was only that one concert where I felt like that people were like looking at you like
was
sideways.
It the concert?
I don't remember which one
there
it was.
There was a Behemoth concert. And then Nergal said, "Oh, I like these guys," and then everybody loved this.
Yeah, maybe it was that one. I'm not sure, but it wasn't that type of band Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, I instantly felt accepted in. Like I felt like everything, like all bars were down when the music starts. The fact that you're there, then we're all in this together. That's all you needed, just the ticket in.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
And so you automatically felt like you were part of the crew, and it felt like the people that were around you, like literally in your vicinity, like all of a sudden there was some like string that went through all of us that kind of connected us as a group. And I think that that's probably, something that, so some people I would hear, like, because I've invited so many people to church over my lifetime in the church. And there was some people that when they were there with me were like, I felt like they felt good and clean. That's what they would say. Like, that was kind of like one of the things. Yeah. But people didn't say, like, some people would say, I felt like they would say stuff like, I thought a bolt of lightning was going to strike me, and it didn't. But as far as people saying,
about that. Yeah, people used to say all the time.
As far as people saying, like, I instantly felt like I was accepted by everybody in there, and then there was a connection between all of us, like that feeling that you get at a rock show. I think that that's what the goal of the church should be. But I think, okay, so here's a little peek into some of our belief system. Our belief system says that every single person was born a sinner. So everybody's on the same spot. Now, some people are not going to do there's people that you look at and you're like, I would never do that. And the only reason that you can say that is because the divine has given you more of himself to hold you back from that. So then when you look at that horrible thing, you're like, I have no interest in doing that thing. But you don't have all of the divine because you're not divine yourself. So you're going to have something that somebody else would look at and be like, ooh, I would never do that. So we all have something. So, but that's kind of what that both of them should bring us together. The fact that we all have some loss of the divine in us should bring us together because we should understand each other. But the fact that we all have some of the divine should also bring us together. So, and the fact that we need more of the divine, so then there's less things that we would do to hurt or harm other people, or to fuck up our own selves and stuff is important as well. But I think that a lot of times, a lot of people feel like you have to do good things to kind of outweigh your bad. And so there's a lot of focus. But when you have that sort of system, when you do the good things, you feel good about yourself because you did those things where that person didn't. So it kind of gives people like a leg up over other people. So instead of realizing, yo, we're all nasty, we all need help, you're more like, well, I'm not as bad because I did and so that ends up making that separation. And I think that maybe that's kind of what people feel when they say, oh, the church is so judgmental or the church is so hypocritical. I think it's a fault and it's a flaw on our part where we're not just recognizing, okay, we needed more of the divine. Maybe they need more of the divine. And how can we all work together in this? And so I think that is like the goal of, like, I'm in this journey in the back of my head. Like, obviously, we all have like a bunch of things that we're thinking about. One of the things that I think about is, what would make the perfect church? So one of the things that I've come up with is that in the back of the church, there's like a big playground area with picnic tables and stuff like that, where it's basically set up as like a spot for moms to take their kids and the kids can run around and play. And the moms have a spot to sit and talk, and it kind of like takes some of the pressure. Maybe they sell peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for very cheap, so moms don't even have to pack the lunches. Stuff like that. So different things like that. But maybe, one of the things is having that sort of goal or ethos that any person that comes in, like, that's the goal. Like, like you really made it when people, when they come in, instead of them being like, well, I felt really clean while I was here, that the goal would instead be like, I felt strangely a part of this crew of people that I don't look anything like and I've never even been around. Yeah. So I think that would be like a really cool, but I don't know.
I mean, he says, no, you're right. Pray to be unmade and absorbed into the light. Everybody be as one, suffering only in the mind, coalescing to the none. And there's trillions of ways to interpret that. But AT said something really fascinating. original sin might be true if sin is missing the point that we already have eternal life, which is a very challenging statement because if you think about it, Adam and Eve already had eternal life. And they already had knowledge. So sin is grasping for something that God wants to freely give you. Because, you know, whatever. And so, yeah, we already have with God and with each other literally everything we need. But we're deceived into thinking that we don't have what we need. So we go to war, we kill each other, we do all types of shit. And I'm like freaking out a little bit because AT, like, that's such a wise statement.
Very
And
interesting.
when I, like, put that through a biblical filter, there's so many times where, like James says, you kill and covet because you do not get what you want. But why don't you want it? And you do not have because you do not ask. And when you ask, you don't receive because you ask according to your pleasures, blah, 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 blah. It's like you already have it.
Yeah.
But because we're so selfish and fearful, that's why, like, a hoarding person, a person who's a hoarder, of course they're selfish, but there's also a, you know, people talk about the myth of scarcity, meaning, well, I'm not going to have it, so if I give something away, I'm not going to have enough, so I have to hoard things for myself. It's like, no, if we all gave, then everybody would have everything we all need. Like, all of us could be millionaires. You know what I'm saying? And so it's really fascinating because he says, pray to be unmade. And it's like, yeah, what part of your essence needs to be unmade and then absorbed into the light? Like, I'm not saying it. It's right there. There is something in our humanity that needs to be unmade and then absorbed in. There's a part of us that needs to be unmade, and then there's a part of us that needs to be absorbed into the light. And it says, pray to be unmade. I agree, because if you worshipped only the real, would you change how you feel? Do you believe you're truly at one, or would you bargain for another day beneath the sun? Do you regret? Do you feel? Do you own what you've done? That line is insane. I saw those circles shrinking, missing the fear that once drove them to separate us from what we are, and the traces fade. We are not corporeal. Corporeal means physical. And I would disagree with that, but I could still agree with it in the sense that, you know, like our Hindu friends say, you are not your body. And it's so fascinating to me, like, because we're listening to this fat phobia stuff, and you're listening to these people say, I have a fat body, so those of us that have marginalized bodies, and don't tell me what to do with my body. Like, we are making a distinction between ourself and our body when we say that. But if materialism is true, then there should be no distinction between the self and the body. But there is, because we all know there's a distinction, that the material is not the only thing that there is. Right. And so, he's getting it. He's saying, I'm not corporeal. I would just add a just. We're not just corporeal. But the true, here's the thing about our body. Like, this body can be, like, completely destroyed. God's like, that's cool. I'll just resurrect it. But, like, your soul, your inner being, your inner person, the inner world, that's not something where you could just say, oh, yeah, we'll just make an upgrade. Because that's the kernel and essence of who and what we all are. And so I just think that is really, really fascinating. And he says, if you worshipped only the real, like, those are real significant questions. Like, what if, you know, like, what if, for example, all this Christianity shit was true? And you decided to yourself, I'm only going to worship the truth and interface with ultimate reality. Would you actually do it? And would you own what you've done to this being? I think it's a very, very fascinating question. Lyrically, it was insane. Sonically, it was insane.
I like that part too. And I saw those circles shrinking, missing the fear that once drove them to separate us from what we are. And I thought of, like, you drop something in the water and then the ripples kind of bring you farther and farther apart. And he's talking about fear being what drove to separate us. And but seeing those circles shrinking, so it was like the opposite of when you drop it. So everything's coming back together. And obviously in the Bible, it talks about that the opposite of love you would think would be hate, but it's not. It says that it's fear. And then when you stop and think about it and you think, okay, why, when people start justifying, you know, kids in cages or closing the border so nobody can come in, it really comes down to fear in a lot of different situations. The reason that we're so cold 100%. And we're so hard with other people is because in the end of the day, we're scared of something.
Yeah.
So,
or apathy, as AT said. Yeah.
Yeah.
And apathy, really, a lot of times people are apathetic because they're afraid that they can't do the right thing.
Fear.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Like, people are afraid because they'll tell me all the time. They're like, Vin, if I really felt all the pain and the problems in the world, I'd never get out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes apathy becomes a defense mechanism to protect us against the fear of our shortcomings to change the injustice in the world. And a lot of times you look at a person who's apathetic, it's like I do this all the time because I'm a very passionate, I feel everything. I'm like, you fucking apathetic person. And in reality, it's like, no, they're feeling, but they're afraid that they can't change it. Whereas I believe we can change everything. So I feel everything. I feel, you know, the Russian sanctions. I feel Ukrainian moms. I feel Afghani kids. I feel Yemeni kids. I feel all of it because I know that feeling is going to drive me to prayer and action, and I truly, truly believe that that's going to change something. But if you don't believe that,
yeah,
then feeling all the emotions about all
too
the
much.
suffering in
It's
the world
just
is
too
actually
much.
horrible,
Yeah.
and apathy will probably keep you from jumping off a freaking bridge.
Yeah.
I'll talk forever about this song, and we need to go to the next one. This is a 9.7 for me.
9.2.
There you are, dear listener. Freaking great song, great subject matter. We shall return. Then out.
Sorry out.
Gone. Freaking AT. All right, guys. Coming back up. New song. Listen. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull
You
that
can
off.
also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Vin will be right back. You've literally waited till the commercial was done to get up. Well, I guess I'll just chat with you guys while I eat a little bit of protein. This toast has no butter. Okay. Oh, that's such a lie, Dwayne. I do check my messages. I don't check my messages on Patreon on the weekend, though. And today was a little bit of a weird day. Things came up that normally don't. So, Vin's gonna be back, but I can hear him talking to the kids right now, so. We do, Tasco. It's another boy. Seriously, I thought for sure we were having a girl. Vin was like, what do you think it is? I'm like, I really think it's a girl. But they can do a blood test now when you're 10 weeks along. So you barely know you're pregnant and you can already find out the gender of the baby. And because the difference in male versus female chromosomes, it's 100% foolproof, which is crazy. So, a slice of cheese, because there was no butter on this toast. It was just bread. So, well, yeah, because there's no butter on it. So it's just a plain piece. Do you eat this like that? That's gross. I don't. Just bring a piece of cheese. I'll put it on it. Thank you. Anyway, so, yeah. Name him Lennon. Actually, we have a name for the baby picked out. We just kind of throwing around spelling of the name and deciding if we definitely want to go with that name. But the baby will be born mid-October. Which is kind of like, you know, the whole summer. Nothing to... They think we should name the boy Lennon.
You know, I wouldn't have a problem with that being a middle name. Like, this channel really has influenced the naming of our kids. It's so bad. You know what?
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
Behemoth had more influence than me.
No. It
naming
was
of
in the
Orion.
Bible. It was in the Bible.
Yeah.
Orion's in the Bible.
You picked his name because of Behemoth. Thank you. But that's not how he...
Bible.
That's not how he convinced me, folks. He brought it about the Bible, blah, 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 and then I went with it.
AT, it doesn't matter when he's born. Do you want to be his spiritual uncle? Then you'd have to be my spiritual brother. All right, guys, here we are. Here we are. What's song 3, babe? Let the people know. Is it Gobblers of Dreams or something?
Gobblers of Dregs, Mastodon.
Mastodon, Gobblers of Dregs. He was texting me. He's like, "Hey, you listen to some Mastodon?" All right, Gobblers of Dregs, Mastodon. I'm extremely curious about this song. Let's do it.
Interesting. Oh, time stamp.
Mastodon, Gobblers of Dregs. I cannot put my finger on. There's like some Tool here. There's some. This thing was all over the place.
You know what reminded me of?
Go ahead.
Typo.
Typo negative? Really?
Yeah. It like
That's
okay.
so fascinating.
The way that I like Typo, I liked this that way.
This guy has a very, very, very distinct voice.
So like you know how like with Typo, like the music
really...
kind of, like his voice kind of like goes.
Sales, yeah.
Yeah, and so he kept doing that with his voice. I really liked it. It was a relationship song too, right?
Yeah, it may very well. I feel like Maynard has the best like
traveling voice like that.
Traveling voice, if you want to call it.
Yeah,
but he can really make that shit go. But this guy has a. I agree with you. Like he's a very, very specific vocal style. It's really really fascinating.
Mm-hmm. I very much enjoyed it. You know what?
And you said
we've reviewed them before. We've reviewed them before.
I think we did like 1 or 2 Mastodon songs.
Yeah, but I don't understand how come.
Yeah,
like,
I figured this would be a massive.
Is his vocal style different in this song than it was in the other ones we reviewed? Because I definitely this like stood out to me as like, oh, I would like to hear more of it. Oh 100%. Yeah, and so, literally you have a couple of Mastodon songs. Yeah, yes, the next. 2 songs.
The next 2 songs are Mastodon songs.
Nice.
So, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Because
I'm curious to know if it's going to be similar or not.
Is he doing something that he's
different?
Never done before?
Or
that chorus like really stuck with me. I left you in the wind.
Yeah.
Singing along at the end, make me feel like I could sing. Long and frayed static surrounds us. Break the fall, safely land. When man can climb to see his rejection, his spirit will burn and evaporate. I left you in the wind to pull the scraps together. I'm the one who sinned. There's more for me to weather. So, you're saying that's are you saying that's why it's a relationship song to you because that line I left you in the wind?
Well, more than just that. He says complications of loss and gain. The grace he gave is filling the void. How to proceed with new direction as photographs melt away. That to me seemed very relational. And I just guessed that the he was, maybe she moved on and someone else is giving her, like, I mean, really.
I think it's about his dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I left you in the wind to pull the scraps together. I'm the one who sinned?
It's probably a conversation it's probably the ghost of his father talking to him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because it says, when man can climb to see his rejection, his spirit will burn and evaporate. And then it says, how to proceed with new direction as photographs melt away. Complications of loss and grace, of loss and gain, the grace he gave is filling the void. So you're saying filling the void of him in relationship to a girl. I'm saying that the love that his dad gave him is filling up the fact that his dad is gone. So
the love that his dad gave him. So you think he had a good relationship with his dad, and that's filling the void? Why are we talking about sin then?
I don't know if he had a good relationship with his dad, but his dad was good. He's saying, I'm the one who sinned. So it could be the son talking to his dad saying, I left you in the wind, I'm the one who sinned, but you were a good dad, and the grace that you gave me is filling the void of your absence, basically. How to proceed with new direction as photographs melt away.
I don't know.
I mean,
it's possible.
For the sun to rise so I can say my last goodbye.
Mm-hmm. All that I needed from you was your warm embrace. Turns out that was mine to give. Mm-hmm. That sounds like odd language from a kid to a parent.
Doesn't seem odd to me. That's something I'd say to my dad if he was. What's odd
That's
for a
true.
kid to say to their parent?
That's true. Well, yeah, you could say that. The all that I needed was your warm embrace. Turns out that was mine to give.
Yeah. I could say that to my dad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it to you. Fools play into broken plans turn straight from serpents.
Well, I think that fits, again, that fits for any relationship, not just that one, because there are a lot of people that want more love in a relationship, but they're very cold at giving it. And so they don't create this sort of environment. Like, how you'll see, like, even like in movies or whatever, you'll see these, are we gonna...
I'll take care of that after the break. Don't worry about
it. Like where there'll be somebody that's like really, really grouchy and really cold, but then they do their backstory and there's like lack of love in their backstory. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And so all I needed was your warm embrace. Turns out it was mine to give. So like a lot of times, well, kind of like what we were talking about before, like you create your own reality for yourself. And so, like for instance, I've noticed that, if you and I are in a particularly happy-go-lucky mood, well, the whole world's a party.
Yep.
And everywhere we go, people are like, hey, yeah. But if we're both pissed off, like it feels like everywhere we go, like everybody's in a bad mood everywhere.
Yeah.
So like I do think that you do, in that sense, create your own. The difficulty, this is not necessarily about the song, but the difficulty is when you're so negative that like I'm talking about like our energy together and what we create when we go out.
Yeah.
But then there's like your own personal energy and the energy that you create around yourself everywhere you go. Like I remember working with certain people that like were always friggin' miserable every day at work. And when they came in, they just brought this cloud of misery like Eeyore right into the, right into the workplace. And it was like, holy shit, here they come again.
You again.
And so, yeah, but I remember thinking like, well, I kind of feel bad for them because that's the world they create everywhere they go, because nobody wants to turn the party up when they come in. Everybody's like, oh, this person again,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. For me, AT is speculating that it could be a manager who was a father figure. He said father figure as well. And maybe, just because, I have my issues with my dad, that 98% of which, in my opinion, at this point, were not his own doing. But it is something I think about, like, the next stage in my dad's life is, I'm not going to talk about it, but I don't really have that relationship with my dad, so
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like, if you have a dad or a father figure, I could definitely like see this being something you would say in that situation. I left you in the wind to pull the scraps together. It's a weird situation because he's right. I mean, I go through these phases where I talk to him. You know, there's one little stretch where I was talking to him weekly, and then there's another stretch in which, like, I can't talk to him at all. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I understand it's probably confusing, hurtful, or whatever, but it takes so much out of me to talk to him. Because there's the whole backstory and all the rest of it. It's just really hard to talk to him a lot of times. I gotta kind of gin myself up to have a conversation with him.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
But then the other thing is like, if I talk to him after a long time, it's like, hey, how come you haven't talked? And like, I know, like if it was Dorian, one of these days Dorian's gonna move out.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And I know that if a day or 2 or 3 went by, but one of the reasons I'm the way that I am with Dorian is because of the experience or lack thereof of having a father in the first place. So, I'm not, because I didn't have a father, I wanted to have sons so that I could give, my sons that experience or whatever. And so Dorian was the first one to show up, so he got the brunt of a lot of that. So that's like a lot of our relationship now. I don't think we'd be as close if I had a normal, healthy relationship with my dad, because I became obsessed with being like this involved father.
Maybe.
And all the rest of it. You know what I'm saying? So.
Maybe. Yeah, but do you think that.
Yeah.
Like when we move and, like you guys have a conversation about.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where like I just have to be down there and we got to be in proximity and all the rest of it. Like part of my issue now is like, probably things will probably be different if
if you're right there and
if we're there and we can talk and whatever, and I don't know. But, hopefully, once all this goes through and our plans work, hopefully I can pay off the rest of his house, and that'll kind of be I can say, hey, I did something to take care of my dad or whatever, because it's one of those things where, like, he wasn't around, but then now, like, he wants to be around, but, I'm an adult now, I'm a grown-up now, and I live my entire life without my dad, so I don't know, like, how exactly to... Yeah, I don't know. So, I don't know. So, anyway, so that's kind of what was going on with the song for me as I was listening to it. I was like, those relationships with between fathers and sons are
oh, look, this one could be too, yeah. Fools play into broken plans, tuned straight from the servant's hand, reaping ill-gotten plans, bleeding this love away. Like, I had this friend growing up, and his dad was never around for him, and I mean, this is the typical story that so many people say. He'd sit out on the sidewalk waiting for his dad, and then like his dad wouldn't show up, and like instead of just calling the mom and saying, "Yo, I'm not gonna be there," he'd be sitting out there waiting, and this happened again and again and again and again. And it was just, but a kid is always hopeful that the parent might come through. And so it just, so right there, when it said fools play into broken plans. So like, I think that can become that sort of environment when plans get broken and hopes get wrecked. It creates a sort of environment where it says bleeding this love away. Like, I think that it slowly goes, like you could tell that his relationship was, he still wanted that from his dad when he was older, but really, he was a kid when he was 18. He's 17. He had just turned 18, so he was still like not far off from Dorian. So now I'm like looking at the situation, I'm like, oh my god, he was just a kid. He seemed older to me because I was 16, so I felt like he was grown up because he was like 17, 18, but yeah, he was really just a kid, and he was in a lot of pain because of it. So yeah, I could see where you were saying it would be a dad situation as well.
It's strange, man, because my mother, aside from my dad not being around, which was again not his decision, but my mother did way more things to hurt. Like, she did things purposely to hurt me. But the way that I talk about my mother, like, she's like the greatest person in the world.
Yeah.
When my mom died, like, that like, my older brother was, I'd never seen my older brother in that type of situation when my mom died, because, you know, there's a lot of untied shoelaces between my older brother and my mom. And my younger brother, I mean, he's a baby. I mean, you are the baby, bro. Like, don't be mad at me, but you are the baby. So, like, when all the funeral and all that, like, I had to be strong, and I had to go up there and, you know, whatever. But afterwards, like, my stepdad was here and my dad was there. Like, I was gravitating toward my stepdad, and my dad was, and of course, like, I'm completely, like, brainless when it comes to that stuff. Like, I don't understand how to read those situations. So, like, my dad brought it up after. He was texting me about something. He brought it up after. I'm like, what's he talking about? Because my whole thing was, like, my stepdad came up with us. He went through all the bullshit with all of us. I mean, he was the cause of that. But he went through it with us. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was there, and so, like, when my mom died, it was like I was going to him because, like, we had this common experience with my mom. It had nothing to do with, like, oh, you're more of a father than me than my real father. Like, that wasn't it. Because honestly, like, I really didn't look at my stepdad as a father figure. Like, no disrespect to him. It was just, you know, like, the way he was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't really. So I realized that when I saw it in text and whatever, I'm like, holy shit, okay, he's hurt by that. Like, yeah. So, like, basic things that, like, other people could see, like, plain as day, like, oh, that obviously that's going to be hurtful. Then, like, I completely
you knew because you said it. You told me about it.
I told you after. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
after the event, but not that far after the event.
Well, he texted me, like, that day.
Oh.
So.
Oh, I thought.
Like I, you know, it's just those things where it's just like it's very, very, very difficult to try to, like, navigate. Okay, like, this is your dad, like, cause you know what I'm saying. Like, if I'd have had that in my head, like, I would have absolutely, like, you know, been a lot more diplomatic or political about it, because, like, my role at that particular event was to, you know, give her a good send off and like be strong for everybody or whatever. And I did a pretty good job of it, but. That part was a blind. Like, I don't sit there and beat myself up about it. I don't feel guilty about it. It's just one of those things where I was like, oh, okay, like, this is one of those things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So anyway, it was a deep song. It's a good song. It's a solid 9 for me.
9.6 for me.
There you are, dear listener. More Mastodon goodness coming for you in a second. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.
Very curious to see if the next one sounds like this one.
I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review.
I understand him being hurt by it.
Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
But I'm saying
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
that was your experience.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song.
Yeah.
So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Bye, merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them. We're in the midst.
Buy our merch.
We're in the midst of a DJ / technical difficulty stream. Thank you guys so much for your patience. But
Mastodon Eyes of Serpents is coming right now. So let's see. I'm super curious to know if this is going to sound at all like Gobblers of Dregs.
Gobblers of Dregs?
Well, that was the last song.
That was the song, Gobblers of Dregs. Okay.
Yeah, but
here we go.
I thought Dregs had 2 G's.
Dregs? Like the Dregs of Society?
I don't know.
All right, guys. Here
All right,
we
let's
go.
go.
Mastodon. What's the name of the song? Eyes of Serpents is the name of the song. Pay attention to the intro, dear listener, because the intro apparently is very important. And we're off. Early 90s movie soundtrack. Serpents. What do you got? Yeah,
well, it was just weird. I just typed it in the chat, but like when I was listening to the lyrics, that part down there where he says, "To treat you as part of me, it hollows you," and I was like, just kept repeating "hollows you over and over," and then I look in the chat and AT was like, "hollows you." I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, AT and us are like, we're on the same.
Yeah, we're in the same place.
We got the same consciousness. For sure.
So, as a whole, I didn't really like fully understand what the song was about. It's probably something that's pretty simple, but
this guy's vocal style is amazing.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And
I'm really, really a fan of this guy's vocal style.
So, I just liked some of the stuff. So, like, burning bridges was like this big thing that was talked about a lot growing up. Like, never burn your bridges, never ever burn your bridges. Like, that was said over and over. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, don't burn your bridges. I mean, I'm not even sure how far that would get taken. Probably pretty damn far. Like, even bridges that you should burn, I don't think that they were saying to burn those. But then when it said leaving the ash behind, there's no choice but to move on. When I read that part, it reminded me of Wars of the Jews. When the insurrectionists wanted everybody to fight in the city, and so they were surrounded outside by the Romans, correct?
Yeah.
And so the insurrectionists they were set up to be good for like 7 years?
Yeah.
They went in there and they burned all the grain and like basically made the city unlivable. So it would force the people to go out and fight. I mean, it was a terrible thing to do. Everything went, but that part, if I burn the bridges, okay, leaving the ash behind, there's no choice but to move on. And like, that's literally, they were forcing them to move forward, but it didn't work out like they wanted to. Yeah, it got really crazy in that city.
There's been a couple times, I can count them on my hand, where I'm like, if I do this or I'm going to say this, this is permanently going to burn this bridge. I'm usually not really a fan of like dramatic exits. I'm a fan of
Really?
understated exits. Like, I'm a fan of like, I mean, we've talked about this. Like, okay, relationship's over. I'll never speak to you ever again.
But isn't it always dramatic in regards to you? Not because you're trying to make it dramatic, but that's how people react to you?
Yeah, I'm talking about me.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I'm not going to go and be like, I am leaving it. Like, I'm not one of those people that's going to put, I'm deleting my Twitter. I would just delete it. Like, why announce to somebody other than you just trying to get attention? Yeah. So, like, I'm like, I generally don't like doing that. Like, when a relationship is over, like, I'll just, there's a term for it now. People call it ghosting. Oh, you ghosted me, blah, blah, blah. I didn't know that was a thing. And then it's like, apparently it's really, really bad to just stop talking to people. And I always thought that was so strange. It's like, I owe you a conversation? Like, I owe you that? Why do I owe you that?
Well, because they feel like that you're tight, and then if all of a sudden you're, ouch. Okay, that's not going to work now.
Yeah, we'll just put it on the next thing. I always thought that was weird, like this whole ghosting thing's like, what do you mean? Like, I don't owe anybody a conversation. And nobody owes me I mean, we're married, so I mean, I would have a real problem if you stopped talking to me like out of nowhere. But like,
if I ghosted you,
or my kids. But like, this weird. It's this weird thing where like you owe people a conversation or you owe people an explanation for why you're not talking. Like, I just don't see that. And I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm just saying I don't see. To me, that's just, these bullshit sort of perfunctory things that we do to kind of, these like unspoken rules of propriety or whatever. Like, I don't understand it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why I am obligated to continue talking to you if the relationship is over. And I'm not even saying that anybody was a bad guy or a good guy. I believe that most relationships have a life cycle. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, in the technical sense, all relationships have a life cycle. But I'm just saying, like, it's like I always say, like, your best friend from high school or your best friend from grade school, most likely you're probably not still hanging out with them. Like, most likely that relationship is over.
Yeah.
So why is there like this obligation from or anybody to continue the conversation or the relationship if it's over? Like, I've never really been able to get my hands around that concept. And like, the last time I had a conversation with one of these people, it was, like, so dramatic. It was crying and how come and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like...
I don't know, maybe because we're built for community, so, you know, obviously at the end of all things, we're all going to be interconnected. I mean, you know, he's going to be all in all, you know what I mean? So, like, maybe there's this sort of...
Yeah, it's not like people are destitute without me in their life.
No, but I think that people have this sort of...
And I'm not destitute without them in my life.
Look, death happens everywhere, right? You're going to die, I'm going to die. We're all going to die. Like, that's just going to happen. Like, that's inevitability. But when people die, people are still sad about it. People don't want it to happen.
I didn't say dead. I said destitute. It's not like...
I know. But what I'm saying is we have this understanding. We want to live, and we want to keep living together. And maybe, you know, at the end of all things, we are going to live forever, and we're not going to die ever again. And we're also going to be connected, and there's not going to be any brokenness in fellowship. So maybe it's some sort of call to the divine state when people are upset about broken fellowship. No, they're not destitute. They're not devastated.
Yeah,
but maybe there's like this sort of feeling that, this isn't the natural way that this should be happening. Because in the end, it won't be. That's not how it will be at the end. In the end, we're going to live forever, and we're all going to be together. So...
Yeah. Yeah, part of me feels like a lot of angst people feel about being ghosted is because they're supposed to feel that way. Like, society tells them you're supposed to feel bad. Like, if you had a best friend and your best friend isn't your best friend anymore, you're supposed to feel bad. Like, I genuinely believe that a lot of people's offense, like in the current context we're in, how many people are offended about shit? And they're really not, like, half these... I'm sorry, man. If you're literally saying you're going to quit Twitter because of Elon, I just think that is so crazy. But I think that people are being told they're supposed to feel that way about Elon taking over Twitter. So now they're taking that onto themselves and saying, yeah, I'm offended at Elon Musk. Like, what did he do to you? He built a couple cars, sent a couple people into space?
Yeah.
Why is he the end of the world? Like,
yeah, I see that.
And it's because collectively, if you're part of a certain subculture, you're supposed to feel like this is the fucking apocalypse, the end of the world.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, like, I feel like with the whole best friend thing, like, we're societally... like programmed to create all this drama around, quote, losing a friend and all the rest of it. Like that, I don't know, like, how much of this is just that, because I don't, like, I don't miss any of those people.
I do,
and I forget most of the time that I've ever even been around them. Like, I'm worried about our stuff and what we're doing.
I do forget a lot, too.
You miss it.
Yeah, I do.
So
I do.
I've never actually heard. I've never asked you this question before. I'm gonna ask you now. Do you feel, yeah, all those people freaking out about Elon are the same people that buy their shit off Amazon and subscribe to the Washington Post? Correct. I added the Washington Post thing, but Tasco knows what I'm saying. Okay, go ahead.
No, you were going to ask a question.
Do you think there's something wrong with me? Go ahead. Like, I know it's kind of a weird question to ask you, but based on, because you've seen it. You've actually seen it. They've only heard about it, but you've actually seen how I am with people. Like,
yeah,
do you think there's something wrong?
Yeah, I think that you're that way because of your past traumas. I do, yeah.
Trauma? You mean like what? You mean like moving all the time?
Moving all the time, the fact that you left the home of your father in a very dramatic fashion. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
that would be trauma. And then, the way that life was, with your mother, God rest her soul, was not normal either. So I don't think that you had any of those normal experiences.
Yeah, but when my mom died, I was already that guy.
No, I'm saying the way that you were raised. I mean, you went through a lot of things. So as far as being able to, like, deeply connect, like, I think that you had a connection with your mom, obviously. And I think that it's strong and it's deep in its own right. But as far as, like, a mother's relationship to a son, no, I don't think it was like that. So I think that you missed and you didn't have your dad there, and then you guys were moving around all over the place. Stability was not a thing that you could count on. For me, life was so stable, I was fucking bored. Like, I wanted something to pop off because I was so bored.
My brothers aren't like that.
Well, it's going to affect everybody differently. And you're a very unique...
So you do think there's something wrong?
I do think that that's as a result of your trauma, yes. Do I think that it served you...
You seem uncomfortable saying it that way. Like,
no.
I'm not offended at all.
I don't think that you're offended about it.
I just never heard you say it that way. You've never said, like, yo, something's wrong with you.
Well, I've been shocked, and you've seen by my face. I'm like, I mean... You being like that, I think, has helped you in a lot of different situations. It's made transitions a lot easier for you.
Yeah.
Have I felt misunderstood in transitions? Yes, because we don't feel the same. And so, like, transitioning from what we were doing before YouTube, like, I still have days and times and things that pop off, and I feel like a big sense of loss. Even though,
those people?
Yeah, and it's very weird because I was hurt a lot by those people. But, like, individually, when I stop and I look at the situation individually, like, I'm like, I wouldn't want to be around that person anymore. I wouldn't want to be around that person anymore. But as a crew, as a whole
there's
group...
only one of them that you like to be around.
No. Individually, I don't want to be around them. But as a group...
Not even that one?
No. That one, yeah.
That one, okay.
Yeah. But as a group, what we were and who we were, like, a lot of times I separate the end from the middle and the beginning. And so the end makes me say, okay, you know, but the middle and the beginning, like, I miss...
When you say the end, you're saying it didn't end well, so you fuck those people. Like, when you think about it from that.
Yeah.
See, I don't feel that way about them. I don't say fuck those people. I just think, yeah, the life cycle of that relationship is over.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I said. I think it served you well, and it makes things easier for you because you don't feel like that way about it. And so it's weird because it's almost like the emotion is like turned off, and so you're just looking at the like we're building with blocks. And so it seems like a very easy way to look at it. Like, when you talk about it, sometimes it's almost, you know, and I know that this is probably not it's almost robotic. Like for instance, so there was a person that was in a really bad situation. They had literally just gotten out of jail, and I ran into them when they had just walked out of jail. I brought them down to where we were doing our thing. I helped them out getting a bunch of stuff, got them connected with people that could help them, and helped this person a lot through the next span of their life. And even opened up my home. They stayed at my house. And that's always like a risk. Like, this person had a past in a lot of dangerous stuff. Mm-hmm. And she stayed with me, you know, for a while. Well, she was there through the ending, like, of my marriage. Like, as everything was friggin' falling apart, I still had her there. And she took what she saw there, and then she gossiped, she spread stuff. She was like one of the catalysts for a lot of the pain that came into my life, and that hurt a lot. And I was like, how could she do that after I did everything for her? Now, you said, well, did you help her because you wanted her to be on your side and you wanted her to respond a certain way? And I said, no, I helped her because I genuinely wanted to help her. And then he said, well, then what does one have to do with the other? And I thought, that's a really good way of looking at it. That's not how I feel about it. I still opened up my home, and, you know, it's tiring when you're already going through a lot. My home was opened a lot to a lot of people. And so I had a hard time with it, you know, but I see the way you're looking at it, and it would be nice, I think, to be able to look at situations without the emotion attached to it, because you can be a lot less upset about things. And but
yeah, again,
I don't think
that's the thing. Is the narrative around it is, here's a societal expectation. Somebody helps you out, puts themselves out for you. That means you're supposed to be nice to them, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, those two don't necessarily correct. I wouldn't have changed the thing I did for anybody, because I did that in that. My whole thing is like, I want to live in the exact moment. So in that moment, all that shit was real. None of it was fake. It was real for that moment. This moment, that life cycle of that relationship is over. it's cool. You don't have to do anything dramatic. It's just over.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have different people, and like they'll like a couple days ago, one of them friend requested me. Her ex actually friend requested me a couple days ago. Like they'll try to creep in after a couple. It's like, man, fuck.
He did?
yeah. Like I don't understand it. Like I don't get it. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably never understand it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that doing good things obligates people to be loyal to you. I just think I just think doing good things is for that moment, to do a good thing in that moment, and you have relationships with people in that moment, and they phase in and out of your lives. I don't think there needs to be all this extra drama that gets added to it. But it looks like the song was about burning bridges, ending relationships, and then it says like, does it make you hollow to feel that I'm part of you, that type of thing. So yeah, I don't know. But like I personally don't. I think the way that the rest of y'all handle those things is crazy. It's weird to me. Like it's not crazy. It's more weird. Like I don't it's like I'm an outsider trying to understand how. Like if something.
Okay. So do you think that we handle it wrong?
Well, I didn't ask you if you thought I was wrong, or that something was wrong with me. Okay. Do I think something is wrong with like the rest of society?
Yeah. I literally don't know what you're going to say.
That's such a fascinating question. I don't think you're wrong for feeling...
Because you're like so mendacious, I feel like you kind of do think there's something wrong with the rest. It's the rest of the world that's wrong.
I don't know if I've ever felt like, man, these people are wrong for feeling this way. Because like, how can you say that a feeling is wrong?
Yeah, but I mean, don't dig that deep into it. You know what I mean? Like,
as far as like
for me, I said that I think...
Here's the... Do I believe that those feelings are... Here's what I believe. I don't believe that a lot of these feelings are genuine that people are saying. When they're saying, oh, my best friend and blah, we're not talking anymore, it's the end of the world. You know, like that guy that put out that manipulative post to the best friend that pretends I don't exist. You know, that nonsense. Like, I don't really believe that people are feeling it like that. I feel like they're going along with what society says you're supposed to feel when your friend is not your friend anymore.
I don't think you're right on that one.
That's what I think. No, you're just asking my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but to me, that's how I interpret it. Like, okay, here we go. So the friendship's over, so now you gotta make some big kind of splash and act like it's the worst thing in the world. Come on, man. Like, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Like, to me, it's like massively narcissistic to say. Imagine saying, I am so powerful that if I stop talking to a person, it will ruin their life. Like, to me, that's so crazy.
Yeah, but you're not the one that's saying that. They're the ones that are responding like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's just weird to me. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, I just think that, and I've said this before, I don't think that you realize...
There's 8 billion of them.
Yes, there's 8 billion people. I agree, but a lot of people, nobody lives in a world of 8 billion people. Like, literally we do, but we don't know 8 billion people. You live in your little cul-de-sac of the people that you surround yourself in, and so people can really feel like this is the whole world. Like, this is what there is. Yeah, but and you, honey, have been through so many things and experienced so many things, and there's some people that experience traumatic things in their life and they let that make them become bitter and angry people. You chose like a self-help option where you became like a philosopher through all the things that you went through. And so you're a really holistic person. And so when someone gets in your orbit and they experience your intellect, your humor, your sincerity, and just the wealth of information that you provide, and you're just overall energy. I mean, yeah, you have days that are negative, but you know, there's a lot of positive energy, good energy that comes from you, and you care for people. Like, a lot of times people don't get around people that actually care. No, people are more interested in talking about themselves than they are about hearing from other people. You're genuinely the opposite. You don't want to talk about yourself in most cases. I'm surprised at how much you talk about yourself on this channel. That's completely not even like you. So when people get in your vicinity and you're genuinely interested in them as a person, that's something they haven't experienced. That's not something that's happening all over the place. So people feel like this deep and genuine, which is why everybody thought they were your best friend. Like, that's what happened with everybody. Everybody thought that they were deeply connected with you because you understood so much about them. So when that relationship ends,
hearing everything you're saying, it's all weird to me.
When that relationship ends, now they don't have that person that deeply understood them. And the thing is, like, you off the cuff understand people. It's not even I think because your memory is so good too, like, you'll remember these like details about stuff that is just like, okay, for instance.
Yeah, but I think anybody could do that if they listen deeply to somebody.
It happens, yeah, when somebody is like in love with somebody.
If you take a genuine interest in people, you'll be able to remember that stuff.
You're wrong, because there are people that I have taken a genuine interest in as a person, and then I completely forget about stuff that they've told me. And they've had to repeat the same. And some of the stuff is fucking traumatic. And I can't believe I forgot that information. But I've been genuinely interested in that person because they're genuinely a very interesting person.
All right. Well, I mean, everybody agrees with you. I mean, Andre is saying losing a friend is painful. I mean, you've got the numbers. Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, I haven't moved anywhere with it. It's still very strange. The whole thing is very strange.
Yeah.
And I there's still a part of me that's always like, man, that's just drama because you feel like you're supposed to feel that way. That's what I think. I might change. I don't know. I've changed so much, just doing this channel that it's very, very possible that, whatever. What do you get the song?
9.7.
I really like this guy's vocal style.
Me too.
I really, really do. And I'm very excited to hear the next song. Solid 9.3.
Gigantium is next.
The moral of the story is be as dramatic as possible. in all your life transitions, just be as dramatic as possible, dear listener. That's what it's about. Drama. We shall return. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. What? I miss it. That's not the. That's the big. One more song, guys. Commercial break. We'll be right back. I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group. And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get matched down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at nsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish. Rubbish.
That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs
What was the
do.
17.3 million watts?
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 here and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
All right, dear listener. Buy our merch indeed.
A child shall lead them. Guys, the link for our merch is in basically every one of our videos. So you can check that out. Click on the link.
Oh my God. People are so stupid. All right, dear
Ridiculous.
listener. You know who's not
But this
stupid?
is, yeah, I was just going to say,
It's
this
our
is
DJ Rented Reality DJ Rented
Yep.
Reality.
Check out his art.
Check out his art. One of the best in the business.
This is one of his pieces right here. Boop.
Yeah. This John right here is Rented Reality's own making. It looks like the Phoenix
Yeah.
and a dragon. We actually have an exclusive Rented Reality piece. That's for me. He said it explicitly. It's for me. It's not for you.
No, when he was here, he said it was for us.
All right, guys. Here we go. Last song, Mastodon.
Gigantium.
Gigantium, I think it is. All right. This is. I'm really happy that AT. No, this is not like a hint to anybody else. I'm just saying I'm glad because this is a band that we haven't really done, and so to be able to hear 3 songs
In a
back to
row,
back to
yeah,
back
is really cool.
is really cool because it gets me, close. Okay, all right, guys, here we go. Gigantium, Mastodon, let's do it.
Not
Brand Daler said, this is another one I wrote when I was in that apartment. I call it the sadness hole. I don't want to get into why I was there, but just to be clear, it wasn't because I was strung out on drugs or anything like that. It was a personal time. But the last riff really sounded like the end of something. It's sad sounding, but there's also some hope there. So we put some stringed arrangements on it, and Brent did this really beautiful guitar solo. The last line is for Nick John. The mountains we made in the distance will be with us forever. I think it's a beautiful farewell.
For who? Nick John?
Yeah.
I think that's probably their manager. It's probably their manager who died. Because remember he said that was a father figure song? And it was like a... Yeah. So that was probably the manager. So probably... as soon as I typed Nick John, it said Matt. Yeah, there he died in 2018. Damn.
And this came out in 2021.
He had pancreatic cancer. Son of a bitch.
That's what happened to my uncle.
Okay, so it's basically part of this album is dealing with that.
Yeah.
With that loss. Makes sense. That line, "You deserve to be happy," that kind of popped off in chat. People were like, how can you say... AT was saying, how can you say anybody deserves to be happy? I don't know. How is that possible? Like,
yeah.
That's a big question about deserving to be happy. Or that's a very provocative statement. You deserve to be happy.
Well, I think there's a difference between happiness and joy.
Yeah, I hear that so many times in church, and I always thought that was bullshit.
I've never heard it in church. I just think that there's a difference because I think that, like, you deserve happiness. Like, to me, happiness is everything is going your way, and how are you not going to be happy when everything is all well with everything? Joy to me is even if things are not well, like, you can still, like, for instance.
Yeah, but is that just a distinction that you made up, or? Because I heard that all the time. Hal used to say that all the time in church. But where did you hear it from?
I didn't hear it from anywhere. It was what came in my head because when I was hearing this,
between happiness and joy.
Yeah, because when I was hearing this, like the middle, where was it? Okay, I just need you to whisper, "Tell me all is well. You deserve to be happy, not stuck knee deep in hell." When I heard that part, so obviously we're all going to interpret this differently by our own experiences and whatever. But when I heard that part, like, so in my relationship with God, as I've been a Christian, there are times where I know for sure I heard God talking to me, and I've heard stuff that was so clear, like even like that's kind of weird sounding because I'm not giving the whole story, but like specific numbers that turned out to be the exact numbers needed on multiple occasions. So I'm not talking about the lottery. But stuff that would make it.
Might as well have been.
Yeah. Stuff to specifically help people and how that all worked itself out. So, and like, I think that when I'm not really sure because I'm kind of like, I'm treading this out as I'm like thinking it. So I didn't have time to pre-think about it. But like, okay, so in the environment that I grew up in, perfectionism felt like my parents expected perfection. And I felt that every environment that we were placed in also expected perfection, from the schools to church to, everybody. And even if somebody didn't have that mindset, because my parents expected it, then they raised the standard. Because I remember one time I was like, well, at least this teacher's not going to expect us to be perfect. But then once my parents had a talk with them, then they got strict with us, but not everybody else in the class. So life was just hard and strict all around. But I always felt like God was talking to me like all through my growing up years. And so I think that it didn't like have a probably really negative effect on me personally if I didn't have that positivity coming from God. So, like now I'm at a point in my life for some reason where I tend to get a lot more discouraged a lot more quickly. I feel overwhelmed a lot more quickly, or I feel like, wow, like this is never going to change, whatever. I don't know how to describe that. I assume that it's just like a phase of my life and that I'm going to come out on the other side of it and I'll be better for it. But like the other day, there was something that I was particularly worried about not being able to fix a certain thing. And in conversations that I've had with other people, I just felt like sometimes you feel so discouraged about something, it actually makes it so you don't do anything. Like you're actually going backwards. Like almost the conversation was so, I don't know, it affected you so negatively. It would have been better off not to have had the conversation, I guess you could say. But anyway, so I was just thinking about it. I wasn't even necessarily praying, but at the same time, I think my heart was kind of like, oh God, what am I supposed to do about this? And then, I just felt like I heard something like this thought in my head, but also kind of like this warmness inside that kind of made me feel like there's a direction and whatever. Anyway, that what was said was kind of private that I'm not going to share publicly. But I was like, oh, that's right. I remember that voice, because God has a way of like correcting things with us or like changing things about us, but it's in a really encouraging way. Like it doesn't feel like you're knee deep in hell when he's talking to you. Like the world can make you feel knee deep in hell, or you can make yourself feel knee deep in hell. But when he talked to me, it's never felt like that all of my life. It's always been, very encouraging in a sense. So, when I heard that line, I was like, that's sometimes how I feel when I feel super discouraged about stuff. I'm like, I just need him to whisper, like, it's all going to be okay. Like, I just want to know from God that we're headed in the right direction still. And even though I have this or that problem, like we're going to make it through to the other side. So for me, you deserve to be happy. Like, do we deserve to be happy? Like, I think that it would be awesome if we were all happy. Do I think it's possible for everybody to be happy? No, I don't. Because we live in a world that's, there's painful things that happens with this world. So, we were at the park yesterday, and all my kids are running around. We've got 6 and I've got another one growing here. So that's 7. And I was so happy about, all of that. And then I landed in a discussion with another woman, and she was talking about a lot of the losses that she's gone through, a lot of miscarriages. And then, obviously I was talking about mine. And when I was in that situation, like I was still happy about the kids that I have and the baby that's growing inside me, but I was still sad that there's a baby's face that I never saw and I never got to hold. And so to me, that was kind of like, like the sorrowful yet always rejoicing sort of thing. I do think that that's in the Bible, that happiness, I feel like happiness that's like the shot of adrenaline that I get when I'm going to, I keep feeling like I really want to go to a theme park. I can't because I'm pregnant. But when I'm not pregnant, no, you can't go on any of the rides. What fun is that? So, like when like next year, I guess, but I'll probably be pregnant again. Who knows? Anyway.
I need a girl.
So, like, to me, that's like the happiness, or you're going to a party. Oh, like maybe you got the date that you really want to get. Oh, you're having a conversation with somebody you really wanted to have. Oh, somebody just told you like something positive about yourself. To me, that's happiness. Are we all going to get happiness? No, we're not. But I think that there's a sort of, and I do think that this has to do a lot with your outlook on life. Like if you believe that everything happens like for zero reason at all, and everything's just firing off on all cylinders, and life happens to you, and that there's no difference from the beginning or the end of your life, it's all just a series of chaotic moments that collect together, and that is your life. Well, yeah, that's a pretty miserable thought process. But if you come from the standpoint that literally everything from the start of your of when you were conceived, even before that, the thoughts of you, all the way till forever, all of it is on a timeline, and all of it is being worked out to absolutely perfection. And that when you get to the end of it, you're going to say, wow, he was really working because in the Bible, it says that he's working all things for our good, to those who are called according to his purposes. So if you believe that he really is doing it for your good, and that in the end, when you look back, you're going to say, oh, that's why. Like, the example that Vin brings up a lot, which I think works, is, when you bring your kid for their shots, when they're just babies, you can't explain to them. And obviously, if you're an anti-vaxxer, this doesn't work for you. But, when you bring your kids to get a shot, you're doing it because you don't want them to get polio, and have
measles, mumps, or rubella.
Yeah, to have some of these issues later on in life. And so you're holding them down on the table, and so they're like, what's this? This is the first time this has ever happened? What's Dad doing? And then all of a sudden they get jabbed with these needles, and they don't understand at all. Like, it really looks like you're a really freaking horrible parent. Why are you doing this to me? But as they get older, they understand, now, when we bring our 12 and 13-year-old kids for shots, they know what's going on. They know it's going to hurt, but they also know that it's for their good. So that's kind of how, like, and again, like the first song that we had kind of brings this kind of circle back around, is your reality creates stuff for you. So if you believe that it's all working out for your good, then you're going to have a different outlook. So, when I had my miscarriage, as painful as it was, and I don't think that I was able to properly grieve for that because there was a lot of complications around that area, but I did believe from the second that I found out I was losing the baby that God was going to work it out for my good, and that God was going to bring good things from it. And, when I was sitting with this woman, she's holding one of my kids, and, all of my kids are running all around and talking with all this life and energy. And I felt the baby move inside me, and like, there's all this going on. And then she started talking about the losses that she experienced. And I was once again grateful, as sad as I was for the loss that I went through. I was very grateful that I had like an olive branch that I could reach to her and say, I know, like I felt that pain too. And so that's happened more times. Obviously I'd love to have that baby with us. And, I think about basically, right now we have 4 that's in the older crew, but there would actually be 5 in the older crew.
Right.
And I think about stuff like that,
like
but
10 or 11.
Right. So that would be,
yeah.
That one wouldn't be. Yeah.
That crew. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, stuff like that is hard to think about. But again, if it's just random happenstance and there's literally no purpose or meaning to it, then that's a lot more discouraging. But to me, that's the difference. You know what I mean? Like, so I was sad, but I was still happy, but not like happy like a theme park. But there was still like a joy inside that I was able to help her through my pain. But that to me is joy, not happiness.
Yeah, I think this is one of those paradoxes in life where if you walk around with the concept that you deserve to be happy, you're never going to be happy.
Yeah.
And the minute you let go of that concept, then you're most likely going to experience real and true happiness. Because happiness is a metaphysical state of being. And when you use the term deserve, that means you earned it. Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
obviously as a Christian, I don't operate with God based on what I deserve. Because if I did, all I deserve from Allah is misery. So, like, to me, obviously, right off the bat, I'm like, no, I don't deserve to be happy. I don't know what you're talking about. But that doesn't mean that God doesn't want me happy. Mm-hmm. God wants me to be happy, and I want to be happy. And so, but I do think letting go of the I deserve, like I've done enough things to earn happiness, is, I think is one of life's, there's about 4 lessons in life that needs to be learned, and that's almost at the top of them. This concept that you deserve for things to go the way you want them to go, which is 90% of our happiness most of the time, is this went the way I wanted it to go, now I'm happy. It didn't go the way I didn't want it to go, now I'm unhappy. The idea that you deserve for things to go the way you want them to go is insane. It's absolutely insane. And it's funny because when AT was saying, maybe that's like a residue of capitalist bullshit. It is, because, as Westerners, particularly American Westerners, when you live in an affluent country, Americans don't realize how absolutely rich they are.
Yeah.
And I always can tell when people start talking shit about Elon Musk, like, oh, he could solve world hunger tomorrow. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're an American, shut the fuck up. Honestly, shut the fuck up. And I'm saying this as a person that's been in a homeless shelter. I don't care. I live like a king. I've seen poverty in the world. I've seen real poverty. I was a homeless shelter. I lived like a fucking king compared to actual poverty that I've actually seen in the world. So when I hear people say that, I'm like, nah, bro, we can end hunger tomorrow. You don't realize how rich you are as an American. You don't realize, like, I'm listening to these people complain about the shit that they have to deal with, and like, it's not fun. But I'm like, I could tell this person's never been to a untouchable ghetto in India. Like literally untouchable, where they're still under that system and they're literally not to be touched, and their children are playing in raw fucking sewage and don't know the difference. Like, people really live like that in the world, bruh. So this idea that I deserve to be happy, why? What have I done to earn all this happiness? It's ridiculous. The other thing that's interesting to me about this is that the guy had pancreatic cancer. So when he says, you know, you deserve to happiness and not go through all this, be deep in hell, I'm pretty sure there's probably an immediate application of that, because cancer is the motherfucker. And it's a fucking.
Well, my uncle had pancreatic cancer. It was horrible.
So I think in that instance, I don't think he's making a theological statement. He's just saying this is a person he loved very deeply, and he'd much rather see them go on to the next life than have to, you know, suffer horribly as people suffer with cancer. And so some of it's like, come on, bro, you're reading a little bit too much into it, and I agree with that. But I think, like, on the macro level, one of the major issues that I have is, one of the things that we don't realize when we suffer is that our suffering brings joy to other people. And obviously, as a Christian, I already have a default framework for that, because Jesus' suffering resulted in happiness for me. But, you know, there's that line that Paul says, I bear all things for the sake of the elect. So Paul had an understanding that when he was suffering, his suffering was going to create joy in the lives of other people.
Yeah.
And so, like, even in this situation, we're vibing. This entire night is basically based on Mastodon. We've had like 3 out of 5 songs are Mastodon songs. And they're all from the same record, and they were heavily inspired by the death of this guy.
Yep.
So it happens over. I think metalheads are the best sufferers on the planet, and the best argument for God's goodness and suffering, because it happens over and over again. Some horrible thing happens to these people, they make an incredible record that saves the lives of hundreds of people or brings joy and happiness to thousands and thousands of people. And it's like, all of us are like that. It doesn't matter. Even if you're not in a big band, if you can suffer well and channel your suffering into something productive, you are going to help other people be happy. So I don't care what adjective you use, whether it's deserve, whether it's I wish, I don't care what it is. That's got to be a factor. When you're going through whatever it is you're going through, you got to think to yourself, how can I channel this and make this helpful to other people? And sometimes the way you do that is is not doing anything. Just handling it well and being around your friends and letting your friends love you is a way of increasing happiness for everybody. So, like, that's kind of my take on it. It was very fascinating listening to you talk about it, but it was a deep song because, you know, it's the last. I checked. It was the last song on that record. So, you know, it was one of those things where it's like, you know, the mountains that we built together at a distance. You know. Yeah. It's like. And that's kind of my perspective on the previous conversation. You know, like when relationships are over, I always think to myself, hey, we did something really cool there. Like there's people that we built something. I mean, me and you were the main players, but there are people that we built something really awesome with. Oh, yeah. That we had insane celebrations with, like jumping around, insane, crying, happy. Miracles happened. People like brought back, like on the brink of death, RIPs on Facebook, and they're fucking. We prayed and they're like, so there's so many cool, and like I look back and say, yeah, we did that, man. Like I don't care what the relationship status is now. Yep. Where I'm at with it is like, yo, we did that shit. That's amazing. That was legendary. I'm so happy we were able to do that. And like, you've gotta you got to look at life that way. You got to look at those things that you built together with those people, even if they're dead or you guys aren't friends, whatever. It's an amazing and a beautiful thing. And I just think there's so many lessons in this song that are just, if we took the time to learn them, it would be crazy. So I really, really like the song a lot. What'd you give it?
I feel like they're all gotten the same score from me, 9.7.
Yeah, this is another .7 for me as well. 9.7. Shout out to Adam Keene. Speaking of suffering,
I know.
He's like, how late am I?
Tony was like, end of the stream late.
End of the stream late, sir. What a freaking stream. Shout out to DJ AT. Again, rendering reality art. Check him out on...
I think it was an interesting topic. Things about your reality and everything, and our stream was really messed up at the beginning, but that was your reality. That wasn't our experience.
That wasn't our reality.
We were very much on point,
gang,
we were ready.
Gang. Shout out to AT. Shout out to Amy Lee Forever. Shout out to Sean King. You stupid motherfucker.